Well, this is a New Balance 933 that me and Jeff designed for a New Balance numeric. That's the skate division of New Balance. I just went into it wanting a shoe that was a cup sole shoe that was fairly stiff, that broke in, took a little longer to break in than a shoe that you hear this term in skating like, oh, perfect right out the box. To me, that means they're gonna be too flexy pretty soon. So what I learned from cutting open a bunch of shoes and the shoes I like in the past was that they're built like this. It's a cup sole with a built-in midsole. I'm already like, I lost my fight. A cup sole shoe with a built-in midsole. That's what I like to skate in. I don't want my foot doing too much work.
Okay.
For me, it's like that feeling I describe it to people as like when you've been walking in the sand on the beach for too long barefoot, like your toes are working, your feet are working. It's not what I'm used to when I'm skating. For me, the shoes I like, the shoe is doing a lot of the work. Flicking it and kicking it, alling it, it's stiff, it's keeping my foot, to me, what I feel is like safe in the shoe.
So other shoes, they felt like a lot of the other shoes were just too loose or not supportive enough. And is that kind of why you approach New Balance? Is because from what we talked about earlier, it was like you like the running shoe technology, but you didn't want to skate in a running shoe, right?
So the thing is about the running shoes is kind of what we learned in Boston, and they're running forward. So they're going this way all the time, runners are, and there's probably a little side to side, but not too much. So that's why, is there running in here? Yeah, that's why, this whole thing can be like really, the shoe can kind of just be sitting up on top of the foam more.
Right.
Because for us, we're going this way and this way, and I actually try to put on some runners just to skate because they're so comfortable. For one, you don't want to be flicking and ollieing off of foam because it's just weird. It just falls apart. It doesn't grip. And then also so much side to side, we skate like this, so much side to side, it's like you're just wobbling, and it's going to make for like an easy ankle tweak. It's just not it's not right for skating.
But you wanted that like squish, you wanted that like running shoe feel in like a skate shoe.
I mean, the running shoes are there's such a huge variety. There's the ones that a lot of people like now that are huge. Yeah. So I'd say it wasn't so much that really thick foam that I wanted to feel, squishiness. It was just more the comfort of the 990 series shoes. Felt more comfortable to just slip on and go about your day than most skate shoes, because I'd say the majority of skaters, I'd probably say maybe it's 50-50, want a thinner shoe that they're going to feel their board. That's not what I like. Like, and it doesn't have to do with, being an older skater or younger skater. It's just not what I've ever liked. I don't want to be walking my dog on the dog path and feel rocks underneath my feet, which a lot of those shoes, that's how it is. Mm-hmm. Then people like it. You see skaters when they go to do a trick, their toes are like this off the side, grabbing around their board. To me, I'm like, that's just foreign. It's not what I want. So that's how we ended up with the foundation that we designed from there. It wasn't about the look of it. It wasn't about, so much like I didn't even know about a runner toe, I knew about one. I didn't know that was part of the design. I didn't know about anything, but I'm like, I need a midsole and these certain measurements with a cup sole shoe that flexes in this zone. Not too stiff, definitely not really, really flexible.
So you wanted this, basically an understanding that you wanted, like, you had a pair of 990s, you like how they feel for like average day, just regular wear. You're like, I want this in a skate shoe, but it didn't quite work exactly how you wanted for a skate shoe. And so you were trying to approach this project from like taking a 990 and making it into a skate shoe. Is that kind of...
Well, I'd say that came later. It didn't start. My whole idea of that it's a 900 shoe is I felt like the 990 series is so recognizable. It feels to me for New Balance like an elite thing to be. All the 990s were taken. And I don't even think they would have really given a skate shoe one of the nine. I mean, I looked every one up. 991, 992, 993, man, because I was like, I want my shoe to be part of that. So I had to let go of 99 something, because everyone you could look at, they're all there.
990 V1. Yeah, that'd be 2. Yeah, that's even 1. Yeah, 996. I'm like, when I went on 995,
It's there. 994, they're all there. They're all gone in. So I'm like, okay, well, that's out. So, but I always like had an obsession with like the number 3. Like I like to do little things in threes. It's like, I don't know, it works for my brain. So that's kind of where we came up with 933. The panels came directly from, a 991, 992.
Okay.
Made in England, made in the USA. Like all those shoes have this same makeup of these panels, but they're in the wrong places for skating.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it was like a guideline. For me, me and Jeff didn't sit here and say, we're going to just create this thing out of thin air. I'm like, I want it to look like a New Balance. Okay, I want my shoe to look like a New Balance. Like when skaters come up to me, and to skate and runners, that's like extra gangster, like extra hard. If you skate runners, like only a few people can get away with it. And people have come up to me like, oh, you're just wearing the runners? Makes me feel good. Like we did a good job of designing something that's good. That's like, when I see people in here wearing the gray ones, this could be a made in the USA 990 series, and probably it would pass.
We're down in the new shop. I don't know if you've seen the new shop tour or not, but like got the media team set up. But I want to show you the actual like manufacturing side, because we got some really cool products that I think in this video specifically, you'll see the difference between BS designer stuff versus real handmade stuff. Because we got over here Addie's hand sewing our wallets. So instead of a sewing machine, we use old school saddle stitching techniques, like how you build saddles from the last 300 years. And Addie loves it. That's why she stitches wallets all day, every day.
I do love it.
And then Hadley's over here bundling all together all the laces. So these are our boot and shoe laces. Got some red, got some black, got some blue, some green. We've got our boot breaker system. This thing has been popping off. Like we sell so many of these because for some reason, nobody made a little thin insole that makes Heritage boots more comfortable. And then this is where we stock all of our wallets. Oh man, look at that, that's a nice shot. Like I said, these are all hand sewn. These are not with sewing machines. These are what's really been popular. These are our slim neck strap. It's our belt thickness leather. It's hand sewn details there, solid brass hardware. Got a little neck piece there to protect your neck. This is the harness cove where Daniel sits here and makes harnesses all day, every day. You can see we got the little buckets with the Lone Bandit that Twister's 100% knocked off and didn't give us any credit. We caught them buying the hardware for the movie from us, but not giving us any credit and not even using our harness. So I just want to show you the strap cutter real quick. Like all the strap, it's that heavy duty lace. But what's really cool is this right here. Doesn't it look awesome? I know. I just want to live in this. So check out all this stuff. Below we got all the camera gear, we got the laces, we got the boot gear, got the handmade wallets, and every single one of these laces we cut by hand. Well, by hand with machine, Josh's hands. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? So check them out below. You tie like 10 boots with these. What was it about New Balance that you approached through the DMs? Because we saw it in the video, right? Like what made you approach New Balance compared to any other brand for the project or the concept? Because I guess you didn't even really have an idea of what you wanted to do. So what was the idea you were trying to get across, and why did you approach New Balance?
I'll try to make this short. Yeah, I'll try to get to the point. As a professional skater at 45 years old, there's only so many options. The companies that are sponsoring skaters are Converse, Converse, Nike, Adidas, New Balance. There's a few others kind of like trying to come in, but that's really at this time, that's it. If you want to be a professional skater and like get a deal, get a little bit of money, none of us are getting paid like athletes. Nobody. Let's throw that out there. That's not like that. Like I wish it was, but it's not. All right. Those are the companies that are creating skate teams: Nike SB, Adidas, New Balance, cons. Knowing that and Vans, and I was parting ways with Vans, and my feet hurt. So I'm like, damn, I want something that's just good. Like, that's really it. I just want something that's good. And from my research of cutting the shoes, I knew that one thing that I told you. It's a cup sole that's fairly stiff and has a midsole built into the shoe. It's not just a rubber with the stroll board with a drop-in insole, because a lot of people try to do that. But that, to me, is too... When did you take that drop-in insole out? You can just fold the shoe in half. It's just not structure. So I just knew that one thing. Went out and got a bunch of different shoes and started cutting them up and seeing what was what. The one shoe was the Tiago 1010. Really, one. Which I thought was crazy. I'm like, there's one shoe that's made like that. That when there should be at least 5 or something. And then I came and talked to him, and he's like, yeah, well, we have that one. We have the 808 coming. It's also built like that, probably built up even more. And we also have a shoe from 1983 called the 480 that's also built like that. And I was like, this is it. Like, I got to get in here with them. That's really how it all started.
Oh yeah, it really is crazy because like we've cut, like the 12 skate shoes, and it's literally just the Tiago like has the dual dent. Yeah, every kid else is just like strobel stitch insoles. That's it. That kind of blows my mind.
And people like that. And plus skaters are known for, it's like, skating comes from like that punk rock mentality where nobody's thinking about those things, And if I didn't kind of have a huge part of my skating in the late 90s and early 2000s, I might feel different about what I like. But I look at my first America shoe. It's like a tank. The thing is like as big as this box. So that's what I know. So since the shoes started getting thinner and thinner and thinner, I've been constantly fighting that. Like, okay, I want my shoes to look normal for the time, or for whatever year we're in, or for the trims. I want them to look normal. But how thick can I get it for what's happening? It's like been my battle for so long. What's the most padded and thickest I can get it without it looking crazy?
Well, that's a cool part of the story too, is like, because we met just through the DMs, and you sent me like a DM, something like, hey bro, what you doing? Like, I've been cutting apart skate shoes for like so long. Like, this is how I try to find stuff. And so I think it's a cool part of the story with this too, us like talking to you, because that's literally what we do, is like cut stuff in half. And you've taken that same idea, instead of making a YouTube channel, instead of like making content, you applied it directly to a specific shoe that you guys have collaborated with. And so I think that's a big and a cool part of the story. And so now I kind of want to talk through like the actual materials and like what you chose and why. Like,
yeah, totally. I was just gonna add one more thing though. Like, Andrew showed up to this building, not like no pro model in mind, okay, with a garbage bag full of cut in half shoes. He did. like 20 different pairs, right? And like 4 of which were ours, right? And I think that's where we connected on like, hey, I had some cut up too. I'm like, look, we have this in addition to this. And it kind of set you in a place of comfort, being like, oh, I can skate multiple models from this brand, and yeah,
I mean, it was such a good feeling. Even if it was just the 1010, I kind of knew, okay, there's a shoe that exists that I like to skate in. I didn't care how it looked, the design. You know what I mean? I was like, I'll make them look good. Like, people like 1010s, but I'm like, okay, if I could just look however I wanted, I'd have probably white high top 440 V1s that looked like they've been in like 25 music festivals, that have holes all in it with like one different color lace, just like the most shittiest looking punk rock shoes. That's what I want, actually. And I want just the thinnest with just like some beat up jeans like a punk rocker. I can't do it. And so I was accepting that a long time ago. Yeah. So when I saw the 1010, I'm like, it's a cool looking shoe. It's Tiago, one of the greatest skaters in the world, and this is gonna work. And so I knew that, like, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's amazing. I mean, so like all of that like as the foundation of this, I just wanted to say, like, with this product, we didn't start with saying like, hey, we're gonna start with the 990s and take that aesthetic and make a shoe. We actually started with the cut in half shoes and just kind of like pushed back and forth on like, what he likes about shoe 1, 2, and 3, and started to formulate an idea of like midsole compounds, midsole heights, and just got that geometry together before we even threw pen to paper.
That's funny. He's mentioning that. I didn't even really think about it like that until you just mentioned it right now. Because like, look, like this is like a very first drawing of just my drawing, and this is based off more of like one of those like hiking boot and New Balances. So it didn't even have any of that. I guess that kind of came later when I started learning more about the different models and kind of doing research. But this was like a New Balance that I got from like the website.
Okay.
I was like,
What are they? I think it was like one of the postal shoes or something.
oh, I did have to run it though. Yeah. Yeah. So like little things we did a lot of drawings together, and little things would stick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that little piece is cool. Let's just leave that alone.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's a good way to talk about it too. Is like, what was it that you saw in those cut in half shoes, or like what was the stuff that you distilled from all that information, like in terms of like the leather? Like, was there certain stuff that you identified as like, oh, I want this kind of paneling, I want this kind of protection, I want this kind of leather? Was there stuff you identified with the leather? And
I thought sure. It's like leather itself. I think we were looking. So all the made product uses pig suedes. We use cow suede quite often in skateboarding. Pig suede's in some areas a little bit more expensive. It has a much more like rich velvety texture to it. So to keep like, I would say the aesthetic of that 990 look, right, the made in USA look, we said, hey, like let's use that material. But we ended up, let's see here, we had like all these different materials, and we ran them through like basically a spin cycle, and they were basically spinning and grinding these down to failure. So we tested all these different types of suedes, and we noticed there was one that just went 128,000 cycles. This isn't the one we ended up using though, because we put it on a shoe and it was just boardy and stiff and dry and sheet feeling. So we found something that's like hits the high rating, but it ended up having that aesthetic that's still charming, right? So it's finding that balance of like, we made a utilitarian work with that nobody wants, that hits the highest metrics, but we wanted to keep that aesthetic of what they make in other footwear categories.
so have you noticed a difference in like the abrasion resistance in pigskin versus like cowhide? Have you guys ever noticed anything like that, skating, testing wise?
Like a negative thing. It wears a little differently, but the niche or the fiber structure is pretty similar.
Right.
It's not wildly different. And the way that we built this shoe, I have the cut half pair here. We double layered everything, right? So with this, it's like you have the pigs suede here. It's like a 1.6 thickness. That's something you got to kind of control with these shoes. If you go too thin, that stuff, you get a nick in it, it's just going to tear open.
Right.
So we pay attention to that. This ollie panel runs all the way down in the forefoot, and then we have the whole mesh this orange stripe runs all the way underneath as like a good teaming there. So you're built up. So you get through 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you get to the mesh. Yeah. So one thing I'd point out, like say in running shoes, you can kind of see this X-raying right here, right, where the material's coming through. These little fangs that come down, they end here, right? So if you were to skate this, you pop this seam, you're now at the mesh. There's nothing under here other than mesh and a toe box reinforcement. So we added, two things. It's like you have the suede. This is a double-sided adhesive that activates with heat, and it bonds those two materials together.
Also, it's glued and so. Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
And so what that does is it just like, in skateboarding, people skate their shoes, and once this kind of opens up, say it opened up like this, you would put shoe glue or super glue in here, and you would just push it back in. And we're just trying to save that step for the gifts.
Andrew's shoe, he's kind of worn through a little. The thread's a little bit worn.
That's the kickflip area is the most impressive area. No super glue, no shoe glue. The kickflip area is like, to me, the trippiest part, that it never broke.
Yeah.
Well, even this pig suede is still in, like, it hasn't really worn through. It's just like really the little bits on the fringe here, and like the thread is worn through it. Mm-hmm. So was that something you were looking for in the design? Was like, I want all bunch of layers built up so that I don't like ollie through a patch in a month and I'm like, my shoes are out? Or was that something that was like through the design process, or how did you guys cover that?
I mean, there's a couple of little things I'd say that I avoided, or we avoided for those reasons. Like, for instance, a lot of the shoes that I kind of took these panels, this ice stake would have gone on top of that piece. That's probably more common. but that means, that piece is gonna flat pop. So, this will overlap this way instead of going under, right? Which just means you can just wear that as long as possible, and it's not gonna happen.
And then it's has an extra tack down stitch too. You have just to kind of secure it, and that's all the way through the upper. Oh, and I heard it goes through suede 1, suede 2, and the V smash.
Wow. Well, that's a little Martac. Because that's a kind of like Artax you put on like pants.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly it. And that was, you pulled that from like, I think a hiking inspiration.
It was from 610. And there's like a little bit of like detail, like alliteration where it's like it's here. You pop it in the back. That one's less functional, but it is cool to see like details kind of transfer into multiple places.
But I mean, if you look, all these lines, none of this matters for as far as breaking on the skate shoe. It's just, you're not gonna. I mean, somehow I wore out the plastic, but we're not Becky. None of this. None of this is really gonna affect anything. It's really just here and here, and some seams right here, and maybe your lace, which my lace didn't break, which is good. Maybe it's just in far enough where it didn't break. But all of these pins, this is probably the most changed. This, the small end, that window, this armbar thing are all exactly a 991 or a 992 or 993. Okay. All we did was just maneuver. Yeah. Just kind of put it in a place that made sense for skating. I don't think anybody even thinks about it, but it wasn't just from thin air. I told him I want it to look like a New Balance. I just want it to look like a New Balance shoe, which I think it does. Well, it is.
It's like all those shoes that he's mentioning are a little bulkier. They're a little bit more like, I would say, eccentric in the lines. We did structure the eyewear to be more straight rather than some of those shoes they're very wavy and a little bit less consistent in terms of like, I guess, a streamlined look. And the last shape alone, which is like the foot that these things are patterned around, is just sleeker and more streamlined. So it'll essentially take this like bulkier, chunkier shoe and make it a little bit more palatable for a younger consumer.
Okay, imagine back piece. This is usually 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3. And then easy 1, 2, 3, and then this was a piece that we kind of a really important part for us to make our own, because most of the time this is a mesh window. That's why there's like tiner. Okay, this doesn't do anything. It's just to create some, for me in my mind, it makes sense that there's some kind of balance between here and here. But we were talking about leaving that mesh because it was so close to that. Like, should we just leave it mesh? Or then it's like, why are we gonna leave that mesh?
And if you skate that, it's 2 ollies.
Oh, we could have done the inside.
It's not too late.
Never thought we could have 993 V2.
But it also echoes. Because you got that stitch line there, so it still echoes. Like, I mean, that's what you like.
On the suede, you lose it a little bit, but there is a deboss in here. You can see it a little bit more on the one you just skated. It just signifies that there's like a textural kind of relationship between those pieces. When we do it on like a leather, it is really well embossed. It had a little big shape.
No, another thing that one thing I saw that I kept seeing, I'm like always looking at my shoes on my feet, is a lot of these have these lines right here that, like, when you look down, it's like a very New Balance thing. Right. He said that these are called fangs, and these are the fangs that go. So I'm like, okay, no matter what, I want to look down at that because that's gonna really feel like a New Balance. Right. But to go on, window, mesh, and where it goes. So it's, and even the way the sole splits, you can really see it on a lot of that Action Bronson stuff. Right. It's a right color here and a white here. So it's just a toned down, like we took so many little parts from all like these amazing shoes that they have to offer. I mean, it's like designing, knowing you can take from the archives. It's like, right, when you get into now, because if you just take any little part and just make it your own and move it, is really, really fun.
And then to your point, it's like it has a direct lineage to New Balance, like coveted history.
Yeah.
So like the language that we're pulling from, it's not like we said, hey, like
I like brand X, Y, and Z. I mean, like, can we like steal that? It was all stuff that's part of this brand. So the result is gonna be a New Balance shoe, right?
Yeah, and plus where it wasn't even, I didn't even ever think about it as being an issue, is they have like 10 of these that already look the same. Like, they really do. It's so cool. I'm just like, I've never seen another brand do that, where they'll just, they'll just put that piece and then put a new shoe out. Oh my God. Usually, you know what I mean? Usually, like, if you see another model, it's a whole new model. Well, I mean, maybe some Air Max stuff with those kind of, maybe there's some similarities there, but theirs are really close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's cool. I like that because it's from the sounds of it. It's like you guys made everything that needs wear protection extra redundant, really beefed it up a lot. And then sounds like all these other panels that aren't your wear panels are really not going to see much wear. You didn't need to make them super redundant. So you kept it slim, you kept it tight, and so you could still skate in it, but have the redundant bits that actually matter and extra beefed up. That's cool because so many other brands and other influencers, other like athletes, they'll just put their name on a shoe and it's like, oh, it's just a different colorway of the same shoe, where this is clearly intentionally built for skating, which is awesome. Because like so many people don't do that.
Yeah, and with New Balance as a company, they completely, not in the skate department, of course, like we understood, everybody at New Balance, from the people that do the collabs to the people that work with the basketball team and the runners and the tennis players, were all on board to help and make this thing just the way we wanted it. It was so forward. Like, everybody was excited about it.
Well, I think a lot of it's just like when people are passionate and they're actually, instead of just trying to make money, so I want my name on the shoe, like you actually are trying to make something good and different and unique. Like, it resonates with people, it's like, and that's like, I'm like way hyped about the shoe just from like the outside we talk about,
Yeah.
What is this little cutout for?
It's a nod to the 993s, 994s, or 990 B4s. It's a common detail within there. It's just kind of a notch above the N. I'd imagine the purpose would be just another breathable space, and sometimes they'll take a tick in the eye road too, just to give it like a room for flex. But we ended up using just one layer of suede over mesh here, so it does have natural flex without having to do so.
What about the inside of the shoe? With like, what were your goals with like the padding on the inside, the lining? Was there any intention behind that?
I mean, I'm kind of try to keep it close to what I'm used to skating in. I mean, that's the main concern. Comfort, and like I said before, as thin and sleek as I can get it with enough padding for what's comfortable. Because part of me is like, thicker tongue. Like, I want it thicker, but I'm just like, okay, like, let's just make it, let's find that place in the middle. Because some of those old skate shoes, I put on a DC Lynx with the tongue was this all.
I just cut through one. I was like, I can't cut through it. So
and then when you cut it, it gets even bigger.
yeah,
I put one on, and no joke, I was like, yep, this is what I like. I want a fat tongue, but we got it too. Yes, it's still.
Yeah, you feel protected. I think like the word we wrote down was mid puff, like just like not full, not too slim,
Yeah.
Like Tiago's product has a little bit more, I would say, in some of the tons. So, but it's not as sleek as like a 440.
He made me some low top 480s with a fat tongue. I have them. Those are the only ones I got kept.
Oh, they're really?
Yeah. So that's like before a shoe was even on like the table in a way, we were tinkering with all the other models, right? So like the 808, for example, you were skating this and you're like, it's a little too stiff. So we started messing with like durometer of rubber and like the foam compounds, and you trialed all those, took notes.
That one lasted for
forever. And you took all these notes, and that's like was the foundation of a lot of our initial decisions.
Yeah, no, I came into it before even talking about a shoe. I'm just like, where can I help? I'm skating every day in the stuff. Where can I help? Like, what can we design? Can I design a shoe that's not even my shoe? Or I'm trying to redesign shoes that already exist in a line, and just no reason, just because I'm like, like that could move a little, But that's how I see that. So when I see things, I think Jeff too, the same thing. When you see something on a shoe, other models, or somebody comes out with a new pro model shoe or a new skate shoe, I'm just looking at it like, Only if they would have just done this, you know. But maybe only I see it. But
Well, because one of the bigger things too with this whole project, right, is comes from you cutting stuff in half, and that's like what you're actually standing on, and that's like the number one thing like with our channel is like nobody knows what they're actually buying until they literally cut it in half. And so the fact that you brought in a bag of cut half shoes is so funny.
this is a funny thing I've realized about skaters. They look at the shoe, right? They're like living in a fantasy cartoon world, right? This is what a skater kid thinks. They see this, I don't know, even JKs, they see this and they're like, they don't even think that the foot's down in the shoe. They see this and like, damn, that's a lot of padding. They just think that's it. They don't even put it together that the heel sinks down in.
Yeah.
I mean, you think they're just sitting up there like that?
You're like cupped inside of this cradle here, right? So
That's what actually that's like in the shoe.
Yeah, just tell them about that. Tell them about how that happened.
Yeah, let's talk. Is there anything we want to cover with the insoles?
yeah, totally. I mean,
Let's start with insole and let's get to midsole.
So we went to the sports research lab in Boston. Andrew got his foot scanned. This is his scan right here from 2023. Andrew's foot.
Still selling on eBay. Yeah, pay off the shop. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm holding Andrew's limb right now. But we noticed, we noticed a few things. Like we were able to discover which last that we currently have fits his foot best. So he could kind of like figure this out on his own, like from a fit test, but here's a data set to support it, right? So we can kind of like counterbalance those. But we did learn that he has like kind of a shallower cut here, and the last actually like does jet out a little bit here. So we found a way to just add a cup to this, and it really just, if you see how it sits on his foot, it like fits perfectly. Obviously, knowing it's a shoe that's going to commercial space, we didn't like test this with him and like we're done. We did a broad testing on this, and it works for everyone.
Which is another thing too about the insole was a lot of insoles they scoop up like around the whole thing, right? And I would notice when my foot would be on those insoles, it would be like up and pushing on the side of my foot. I don't know if it's just the way my foot is, so that's why it's like completely flat everywhere besides the back.
Yeah, it's a U-shaped insole. I've never seen anything like because it's super flat. There's like, it's very narrow. Like there's no extra support anywhere except for right around the heel.
Yeah, because everyone I would get, it would be like this. I feel it like up on my foot. I'm like, oh, it's kind of weird. Okay, it's not a part of it. Actually, I would take a lot of the 480 insoles like that. It's just flat.
Okay.
And I would take that insole and put it in mostly all the other shoe.
Oh, really?
Just to avoid that. I don't know. It's the way I foot. Yeah.
Yeah. What is this, like a special kind of foam or anything?
Yeah, so it is a new foam for us. Like the name is not a branded name. Like we didn't create like a new technology for it. Yeah, so absorbed in the midsole. This is essentially like a new formulation for polyurethane. So PU. Traditionally, PU is like a really, this is a really dense material. It's poured, so there's no like air bubbles in it, so it doesn't break down, can't pack down. But the new formulation is just a little softer and a little bit more forgiving. So this is like, I would say, a performance comfort insole, and like it sits on top of this midsole that we've created, and this is a dual density, different compounds. The green layer is,
This is the craziest part. The whole thing, this whole shoe blows me away.
This is new. Like that
we've never done this in skateboarding. So our initial concept, we saw a concept from the innovation team, and they were taking like this polyurethane material, and they were trying to like glue this to foam. And the green shape originally was this glued into a foam carrier, which would be the perimeter. But the problem is you get all these like when you have glue between two materials, you're gonna have an I-beam of glue underneath your whole foot, right? So you'd feel that, you would feel that, you would feel that. And we were sitting in a meeting, and the guy's like, he was a technical engineer. He's just like, why don't you just fuse it? And we were like, yeah, that sounds great. That's awesome. We can do that shit. It was amazing. They do it in a lot of the hoops, like basketball shoes. So it's just something we weren't privy to because it's an slightly expensive process.
What is the effect of it? Like, why would you want to fuse two different like hardness of the foam?
Hardnesses, and they have different properties. So in this instance, the green layer it's a little bit heavier in terms of weight, right, and density than the gray layer. The green layer is a high absorption rate, so impact-wise it deadens, which is what you kind of want, and it's a little softer. So as you're stepping and running out of tricks, it's just a little bit nicer under your foot, and even just walking, right? But what we wanted to do is, like, if we did this whole thing, this would probably have an extra 20% of weight, so we wanted to keep it lightweight. This whole gray rim is a higher density, but lighter weight material. So it contains your foot, right? So if you go like left or right on your heel, it'll help, like, it won't allow you to like splay over. It's almost like a replacement for rubber without the weight.
And it's not like the insole where it's not part of the shoe, so it's not going to flip around like your insole problems you had with the little wings on them.
So the issue with that is when you do those thick insoles, like people do insoles like this thick, you throw it in, there's nothing attaching this to the shoe, so you just have a hollow shoe with this floating around in it, right? And to your point, you could just take a whole shoe and just crank on it. Nah, you just like nothing in it.
How does that feel when you skate it? Can you feel like the difference in like density, or can you feel it like cupping your foot, or how does it feel when you actually skate these?
Well, we did so much testing on all the, and there was already good shoes that existed in New Balance, from the basketball stuff to the Tiagos that I was wearing and skating. I skated some basketball shoes and a bunch of Tiagos, 808s. So I kind of would always be asking Jeff, is this foam softer? Is this foam like thicker? Or what's the difference between this and this? And we kind of, and then plus going to Boston and testing every single one. You know, I think you like, you know, they'll use a machine to like hit it in like, they explain that for runners, they want to bounce off and keep going. You know, they just want to keep running.
Energy return is their main thing.
So for us, that's like up in your joints or something. You don't really want that. You kind of want some, you know, it's a like
Slowly,
you said, like
Dead in that.
yeah, like dead in and like soak up some of it rather than send you back. So they did all these tests for us on all the different foams, and just, I guess, just knowledge of what I know I like to skate in, and kind of canceling out what wouldn't work. Yeah, that is how we ended up where we were. Plus, you know, we had so many good skate shoes in New Balance that were working, that I knew, okay, as long as it's in this range, I'm gonna be good. And plus, we weren't so far along that if I would have got one and, you know, knew this is too soft, or, you know, this doesn't work for me, then we had time to change. They were basically like, whatever you want, we're gonna make.
That's so cool. You would skate it and be like, hey, this foam is a little too responsive, or this is this, and then you guys be like, oh, okay, this is a little bit hard or too much rebound. And so you would skate it, and you would take like your actual like scientific approach and figure out what the perfect rebound.
In a way though, we tested a lot of this in other shoes, and by the time we got to this, I feel like we were like, the problem was almost solved. Yeah, I don't even know if we kind of did so much research to get to here that we were just genuinely like, wow, like we.
Yeah, right. And even kind of just simply put, it's like the 808's a little stiff for me. 1010, I would like it to be a tiny bit fit a little different in these areas and a little bit stiffer. So, you know, we kind of knew where to go with it at that point.
And is this on that outside? Is this what you're seeing?
Yeah. So they lean that one part because here, and this is where we had some compromises talking with each other, because the more this becomes like a runner where this whole bottom, just the bottom row is rubber, it's gonna get bendy. You know, and that's where we're like, okay, like I can't have it getting all bendy, you know. The more you have a sidewall here, the less bendy it's gonna be. That's why we put this shank in too. But
okay,
because you ever heard of landing primo? No, that's when you'd land on your skateboard like this. It happens all the time.
Okay.
Just put your foot just goes completely sideways on a sharp piece of wood. Bang, you know, and that's one good reason for this. And it also stops some of that flex. But it flexes, but it stops some of it.
Yeah, it just brings in like it's almost like a resistance there, because if you were to bend this, like it just like folds. So when that piece gets glued into this cavity, it just creates a tension point. So now you're flexing here, and you're not underneath that soft part of your foot.
Wow.
Yeah, and if we would have done the foam this far on both sides, say,
Which we were originally intending.
yeah, and that's where I was pushing this way, and the inside was, because I'm like, this is enough. This is enough. We don't need it like that on both sides. If it would have been foam this far on both, I think it would have been too flex.
Plus, I love some asymmetry.
I like, actually, sometimes I was look at the inside like a whole different shoe. I'm like, damn, that looks really. I like the look of the inside a lot. Yeah.
And so is it made to cup your heel and stabilize it? Is that kind of the idea too?
Plus the plastic too. Yeah, it was only because like we cut a bunch of basketball shoes in half and kind of come to the conclusion it's like they don't need to be super tall to lock your ankle in. They just have to have like a really dense like a counter. It was like all the New Balance printers have this on for like that specific reason.
Yeah, it's large. Yeah, you can see there's like, so there's the internal counter here. You get this white there that's cut in half. This is a molded piece that wraps around. I'm just going to use his foot as the last, right? It wraps like this. I mean, it's molded, so it's meant to fit perfectly like this. That's what technically locks your heel in, but bringing this TPU piece up the back, it just anchors you in even further. So now when you look at this, you're sitting on, I mean, once you put the insole in here, I'm going to reverse it just because that's the actual thickness. You're sitting right here, but you have Guyver that high on your sidewall, right? And the idea is that like you're not sitting on top of the foam so you can roll your ankle, you're in it. And now they have this outward sidewall to bank you back into place.
This is a straight up performance shoe. Yeah, like this is a through and through because the forefoot is built up for abrasion resistance, everything that we talked about. The heel is built up to support it, but not so much support that it no longer bends and flexes. Yeah, this is a straight up performance based shoe, like more than most like basketball shoes. That is wild.
I was like, that's what I was saying about the 1010. I was like, this is competing with like the $250 basketball shoes.
Yeah.
With like the amount of tech in it.
I think that's like the coolest thing about New Balance is they don't gatekeep technology, right? So we're a skate category. They could easily be like, sorry, that's basketball technology. That's running technology. You guys get this. But they simply were like, oh, you guys are trying this? Like, yeah, we do this in the basketball shoes that are $180. And we're like, well, we can't go that high. But we found a way to do it, you know?
125?
130.
I mean, they probably would have let us do whatever we want. And really, but down to it,
That's so crazy. And then, so it does have like a little integrated shank. So what's the story of the outsole? What features and attributes were you guys trying to bake into the outsole based on like skating?
There was this design that you really liked. I don't know if it was like, remember like the zigzag pattern you sent me that kind of inspired?
Yeah, that's classic. Yeah. Oh, no. That came from like a mountain range. Like it was like at first I was going crazy with a couple ideas. I had like stitched in like one of my first drawings is I had this plastic here, like almost in the shape of like a little mountain range. Because I'm like, that'd be sick. Like I was designing, like when Homer got to design his car.
Oh yeah.
I feel that. Yeah.
Let's just see where it goes, But I think that started with that. I mean, originally one thing we pulled back on is these were.
It's on that sample right there.
Yeah, these were all open for more flexibility. And what did we trade?
So this is where we traded. So originally, this line here was going to be the break on. It's rubber. This was going to be rubber, and then the foam was going to start here.
Okay.
But that's where I think maybe that was before the code.
We traded something. I knew I was really worried about these two being, because to me I'm like, one solid piece of rubber. I mean, I know you see the foam here and you see the plastic here, but this being like a solid one thing with no breaks in it. My common sense tells me when you start putting holes in it and stuff is it's gonna make it weaker.
Yeah.
It's gonna have more places where there could be problems. It's gonna, maybe this will peel up or that. I'm like, I just would prefer it to be solid. I just feel better about it being solid. And the flexibility.
So you're saying you used to have a rubber sidewall with the relief cuts.
These relief cuts, because this is what they do on some of the made products. So the 990 B4s have like these really cool cutouts to expose the foam, but it breaks the whole sidewall. So it has like a really high flexibility to it.
Yeah, like you see all those wrap. So it'll flex as like, but I don't think, what it is about these is I think the foam is so thick that it's never going to be. It's just a different beat. Yeah, I know. It's like, I wanted to skate them. I'm just like, that'd be so cool. I'll just steal it. It just doesn't work.
But even from a manufacturing side, when we made this change, the whole manufacturing team was just like, thank you.
No, really?
Because when you go to line up, say this has all these extrusions on it, this has an extrusion on it, you're trying to put that into the sole, right? And we already have this complicated sidewall. You're like, if you miss any of this stuff here, it's going to be off, which will create problems for D-lambs, right? So from an engineering kind of mass scale manufacturing, that's just problematic, right?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting part of the whole process, right? It's like ultimately you could come up with the perfect shoe, but if New Balance can't make it, if New Balance is incapable of doing it at a certain scale, it's impossible. So was there any trade-offs that we have to talk about with this shoe that you guys had the concept of but couldn't come into reality because of like manufacturing?
I want to say that was like the one.
No, but that wasn't even something that we wanted. That was it was an idea to like create more flexibility, which probably, you know, people that love a more flexible shoe would have liked that. It's all a preference, you know what I mean? In skating, it's like your board size, your wheel size, your truck, you know how it is, like just like tweaking on the littlest thing. So some people are gonna skate this and think that's what I've been waiting for, and other people are gonna skate this and think it feels like a tank. So, you know, we just kind of designed it around what I thought was like, wow, they got all quiet. Everyone went to dinner. No, there was a line right here. There was, I think, where this break was with me and Jeff, we were kind of going back and forth on it. And then one day, I don't know the exact story. One day it was right here how this worked and then how this worked. And it was just a simple, like, close these up and I'll give you that.
Between you two?
We made a deal. Like, I trade. Mike, if we do this, we got to do this. And we both looked at each other and I think we shook up. It was really cool. You know, like one thing I'd like to just say in general is like when I've been designing for 19 years in skate footwear, and it's like the attention to detail from a skateboarder who showed up with cut in half shoes. It's just a rare opportunity for a designer to work with someone like this, and you can see it and hear it currently. Like, was here from day zero and predated it. I think you had preamble. You had your thoughts on your own. You brought them to us, and like it's just the amount of attention you brought to us is just unreal, you know. And you can see it in the product. It's like one of those things. Thank you. Yeah, I'm like honored to have been a part of that. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can definitely tell, like, in all the pictures, like, this is like a whole new looking skate shoe that I was ever seeing the field. It's like,
I know I like it.
I hope so.
No, that's another thing I want to bring up, like, is design. The way you feel about the design or the color or the look of it with your outfit is going to change day to day. Like, you're just not going to want to look at the same thing over and over. Anybody. When I put it on and skate in it, it feels better than anything I've ever skated in. So for me, you know, so that alone, like, right, like, if I'm on a trip and I go to the skate park, usually I would have brought a couple of different ones. I would have been at the shop, like, oh, like I need some of this. I left for like 3 weeks right now to go skate. I didn't even bring. I just brought this. I just knew. I knew what's gonna be fine. They're fine. That's sold at you. There's nothing even wrong with them.
you know, it looks like untouched. You know, that's like unbelievable.
Well, even that seam popping, you've got like 3 other layers underneath.
Unless that looks cool.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? Like, just like, I want to get them worse than this, but I just want to wear a different color. But, I mean, there was times when I put them on, skated in them, and just, I've only had them for a few months now.
Yeah.
But like, then skating in them more and more. And I do this thing where I'm looking for, okay, what can I call Jeff about or something?
Jeff's like, please, no more.
It actually, I just know, like, there isn't. It's it. Like, all the stuff we did to get it to this point, it worked.
That's amazing.
The coolest thing to me is like, because I don't skate, Sam's a skater, but like I would wear this every day and I wouldn't feel anything negative from it being like a performance shoe. Like, because this, all the things that you guys have rolled into this make it just a high performance shoe general, regardless of what you're doing. Like, it's comfortable, it's going to be durable, it's going to last a long time. Like, nothing that you guys did like omitted this from any other like casual use.
Right.
You know, it's a really perfect all around shoe because of all that.
I totally agree with you. There was this moment where we, like, the word tech is ambiguous, right? Like, it could go really far one direction, or it could be really simple. And there's a lot of technology in here, but it's very wearable. And that's a meter we were very cognizant of as we were like going through it. Because with skating, it's like if you're wearing something, you're looking down and you're not psyched on it. It's just you're gonna have a weird day out. Like, you're not gonna be able to skate like you want to. And
And yeah, I think that was, one of the cool things about New Balance is they have running shoes that have suede on them. It helps like carry an aesthetic. Some other running brands I'm not gonna say any names, but they're more sporty and they're just like meshes and films and a little bit more in that high technical space. It's harder to relate like the brand to a skate category. But the brand of New Balance is known for suede and mesh. So we were able to like borrow and adopt, would be maybe a good way to put it, some of that DNA and put it into a little bit more of a tighter space.
Yeah, I mean, look what we can. That's where we can go from this to this, if we wanted. It's just the histories. I love this.
Say
That is so. That's what you're talking. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is so cool. But
Well, and the thing that blows me away, because we cut apart shoes and judge them for a living, and this is made in the U.S., right? No, this one isn't. Okay, pretend I didn't say that. Okay, no. I mean, in the U.S., it'd be very, very expensive. $130 for this is crazy.
yeah.
Because like the amount of tech and everything you have in that, like you compare it to some of the shoes that we've reviewed that are actually like the basketball shoes that they charge like $220 for. There's less intention in those basketball shoes than you guys include in this $130 shoe.
It's like the best value sneaker.
Yeah.
no, has anybody ever? Because you're very honest on your channel. Sometimes I see you cutting up and stuff and burning the leather. You're like things I wouldn't even know. Like, oh, this leather is just. How is that common? Like for a leather to have another layer on top?
No.
But why would you? No, but when you burn the leather and sometimes you. Yeah, like a plasticky layer on top. Why is that? Why isn't it even done?
It's PU coated suede, so leather is all top hide, right? There's when you cut suede, that's all top grade, full grain.
I know. I see.
He knows leather more than anybody. So.
It gets all. Yeah. But people like that fuzzy suede now. I'm off topic, but I just like when I see that melting stuff, I'm like, why even do that? Why not just use some regular leather?
Cheap for cost.
Cheap. Yeah, and then there's an efficiency there too. So like when you put that top film on, you can actually like use kind of like weaker parts of a cowhide, and it gets that film, so it makes it more consistent. So when you think of a pattern and you're cutting all these little pieces out, you get more of a yield, which creates like a more advantageous price.
Yeah.
So, and they're starting to get into this thing now where they're doing recycled leather, but it's a PU coating. So it's the substrate behind that top layer of PU is all recycled suede bits from the various cuts that we took out of like a full grade leather. So there's a reason for it. It's cheaper, of course, but in skateboarding, at times like it's more durable. Because you have like it's not as like flattering of visually, and it's a little bit more like plastic finish, but it does last a really long time.
Like Air Force Ones, the basic ones everyone wears, the basic Jordan ones, all that stuff that's really popular. They're just producing them, whatever.
But some of those are synthetic though, right?
Yeah, it's like plastic on top and it always chips off. That's why everyone's Air Force Ones, once they're like beat up, it's just like chipping and falling off.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing I like about your worn pair is that pig suede. It doesn't look like you can worn it through. It's just self-worn.
That's the good one.
Where's the mat?
No.
Yeah, and that's like the real difference, right, between that PU coated stuff versus suede. Is like this looks still as good as like the rest of these panels because it is a higher quality suede, and it's made like a lot of people choose pigskin because it is more abrasion resistant. You get a tighter grain pattern. Yeah. And I'd be willing to bet that this isn't just like a true suede, because to me it looks like it's higher up in the cross section. So we'll see when we get cut.
I'm psyched. No, they're tear it out. If it's parts of it are wax, say it.
Yeah. But the thing I like about this is it's equal parts function and form. A lot of times, people will just sacrifice function for form or vice versa. This is like all the stuff we talked about in the forefoot, all the stuff in the heel, the specific leathers you guys chose. Like it's a unique case where they kind of parlay off each other and they compound in a way that it doesn't really detract from anything.
Yeah, but realistically, like for say price wise, it's like, this could be a really great suede that, in this piece, and these could be, a lot of people, they're like, I want a vegan one. I want to find some materials that are like, well live, and that we can do that. But this first run is like top notch. I think like,
I'd say that whole table over there is top notch, like all premium materials.
Pretty sick.
The black ones are so. Can I show the black ones?
We can blur them out in post.
Yeah, we'll send you guys everything before we do.
So there's a big black box on the screen.
Yeah. This is one, you know, I think skates, I don't think everybody's gonna want colorful.
Right.
This is good for everybody. Same stuff.
Yeah, the with flag, this is a black reflective at night, and inside, ting.
I took some pictures of it in the dark with the flashlight. It looks so sick.
You can see on some of those samples over there, we actually were trying to use synthetics on the quarters and on the armbar, and we'll maybe try that later, but it just lost, like, it went from like feeling like $130 sheet to like right at $100. And we were like, you know, with his name, the idea of like trying to bring it up to that 990 echelon, like you gotta use the real deal. Right, you can't cut the corner there, you know.
Well, it looks
like the real deal. That's
You know a good like accident. The runner toe was just to kind of make it look more like a New Balance and do something different. We had one designed in the just computer drawings.
Oh, see, listen, it used to be lower too.
Oh yeah, that one's weird now that it's
Yeah, well, we gotta get past that.
we own basically the same upper. I think the upper was pretty much decided on, but we had it on runner toe with the split foam rubber, like more like kind of like something like this, or a version of something like this. Then we had one with just a basic cup, and we were running it by everybody. What do you think? What do you think? And mostly everybody was. I mean, yeah, like everybody in here, and a lot of my friends like, nah, go with the tech one. Go with the tech one. It's sick, and it's lighter. I don't even know where I was going with that. It was good to get.
the runner toe looks good.
Yeah. And then I skated it, right? And it just happens to be, you could probably see it on this one, this is like, probably most people that kickflip a lot, it's like a perfect spot for kickflipping. Right there. I was like, even in the wear test, I was like, I mean, that's what you want. You want a toe that just like flicks perfectly. And I was like, oh wow, it's like a little spot which just like made for flicking.
I mean, feel how
I love that.
this transitions something of some real skater right here.
Like it just goes away. There's no more edge.
Yeah, it just becomes one thing.
It's a sign of good quality leather and rubber, because it doesn't chip. If the rubber starts chipping, it means they're using a lot of filler, so it's not like as pure. That is just a great sign of like good quality.
Or like when remember those ones I kept sending, not this was some, I think it was like a little,
It might have been a wear test where it was chipping.
yeah, it was like separating or something. I was like,
I hate when the outsole are separate.
yeah, like when you see this, it's just like, oh yeah, now we're good.
Well, that performed so well. I didn't even know it was worn down. Like, I've been handling that shoe. I didn't even notice that was worn down. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then it's like I don't even know what other sport to compare it to, but it's like it becomes like more familiar when you're doing your kickflips and your tricks. It just kind of like it gets worn in that perfect spot. That's what I find hard about a really thick vulcanized taping. Oh, well, it's so much rubber. I can't control my board. Yeah. It's just totally foreign. Like I want to kickflip off this, but I don't know what that is. Like a certain amount of rubber and a certain amount of swing.
Because of grip, I was like, you get the grit like that, like catches it, and then it's like smooth enough to.
Yeah, it's. What do you find? Kickflips in like some high taping, or a cup?
I'll go back and forth. Honestly, I like the cup lately. I was just skating the Lynxes, so it's high on my mind, and they have like the big fat rubber toe, and it was like too much grip. And I was like, this thing's super wide, so I'm super curious to skate that because it's like way smooth.
Yeah, it's a little bit more tapered, a little lower.
But lately, I've been loving the cups.
Like, oh, you skate Tiago, right?
Yeah, I skate Tiago.
At least try the 808.
No, got a pair just waiting for me.
We're going to wear Sam
I got
out.
too many shoes to skate. I'm not good enough of a skater to blow through.
Skating just from testing shoes.
It's making me better.
No, really, yeah, Need. Like you can't. That's what I watched a couple episodes of you, and I'm like, you got to at least know how to kickflip really good. At least that, or you know what I mean? Because like that's the thing.
Maybe teach me. Get one skill down so I can just be his substitute, do some kick flips.
Oh, okay. That's all I just do 1,000 kickflips because that's all I can do.
You guys would have loved this place that was like early soul technology, like Etnies, America, Ness, 32 Snowmore Boots. That's like their organization, Soul Technologies. Way back. When was that?
STI. Yeah, the STI was it 2006, maybe 2004 to 2009 or something like that.
They would just make like this guy was in there. I met him. I don't even know who he was. He would make these machines would be like grip tape on like a piece of wood, and the shoe would just be going.
Maybe we should talk about doing that. I think I pitched that idea once. It's like we need like a big arm that just swings the shoe around.
A super 4K camera filming people jumping off stairs, and it was like you landed. It was smooth where you could ride away, but where you landed was like a metal scale.
Force plate.
Yeah, but it wouldn't sink down over the ground and mess you up. You could land your tricks perfectly, and they would show you. You're jumping off a big set of stairs, and like, okay, so you guys are landing. If you weighed 150 or something, you're landing like 1,000 pounds of weight into your shoe. You know, that's the thing I always think about what skaters do compared, not trying to like big up skaters, whatever, but other sports, they're going from flat ground, they might jump up really high, but they're going back to flat ground. Like if you're jumping gaps and jumping down rails, it's a lot of force into your shoe. You know what I mean? And like when I was like really flying off of everything, the inside of my shoes, like all these seams right here would just like just riff. I don't believe it, man. It's pulping. And I look inside my shoe, like, what the happened into it? And it would just like be destroyed, like toenails falling off, like just like. Yeah, it's a lot of damage those skate shoes go through.
If you guys ever see any tested, like, oh, Rose Andrew should do that, send it to me. Because this year we're trying to reinvest in like the actual testing equipment and like actually get some more abrasion tests like these going. So when you know, we just do garage sites.
When I know that yeah, you put that on a sander and just that was like actually on like a. I mean, I think you just make it up, you know. You know what I mean? Just like what. So it went around 5,000 times before it got a hole in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you just got to know what grit you're using, because I think like some of these were tested with a grit that was a little higher scale than we wanted. It was like more of a finishing, like 220, and so we had them be tested at 80.
Oh wow, that's very aggressive.
Yeah, it's a big difference. You know, 413.
It's kind of, they're all like 5,000, and this one's the 180.
That's like cowhide suede,
and it's loose fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the look of Harry.
I think it took us way off track. Sorry, fellas. But is there anything else about this design or elements or materials you want to cover to really? Because I think we covered a lot of it. But is there any other aspects of it?
I love how natural all that was. Really nice. Man, it's tough because I don't know which version you guys got compared to them. We've been talking for a long time.
We were just talking about nonsense.
No, we went over some good stuff. That was.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to do things like, you know, I think with the design of the shoe, we've been talking about it too, is, you know, we could do like a super breathable mesh and knock this whole piece out and do a really breathable one, or we can do like you know, we can do one that's more like along those like early 2000s, like with all the little techie details and like, you know what I mean, and make it look like really like a runner,
Like turn this piece into a molded piece and like start adding that like technical feel, you know?
or just for like things that have to do with looks, like taking that off and having like an like embossed in the leather for like a really clean one. Like there's so many things we can do. Like we've been talking about it. I think it's in this.
Yeah. Oh no.
And we should the Rose Anvil colorway.
Dude, this is a hell of a shoe.
Honestly, it's
We haven't cut it yet, so can't give full judgment.
Yeah.
Like,
Get that lighter.
the fact that you get so much thought into it is insane. You know, because it's what we do for a living is look at what people are trying to do in footwear, and a lot of times a lot of it gets sacrificed to the margins, to the ability to make things. But you guys have there's like 4 different zones in this shoe that are highly specialized for the exact purpose, but they still somehow translate into a durable, wearable shoe for every day.
Yeah.
That was a shoe, guys. I'm getting cold chills talking about it.
That's how good. I'm getting straight up skated.
Straight up.
The one thing is, because I love to skate so much and I don't want to stop, and I want to continue to push it as long as I can, and like I'm clear that I'm never gonna be as like great or good or whatever as I was at one point. That's not realistic. But when people gave me the opportunity, Jeff, New Balance, all them to say, we'll make something that works as good as you want it to. I don't take that lightly. Like, that's why I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go to Boston. Let's figure out every little detail. That's why I'm writing in all these notepads, tweaking out. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to sit around and watch skate videos and eat food. I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? I want to, but I'm like, I have to. I have to, because I just want to, this is my life. You know, so, yeah.
That did.
The unique thing too about this is like, I'm not sure anyone else could have got this across the finish line like you, because you got the experience. You've got decades of skating history. You know, if you got a new skater who's been skating for 5 or 10 years, I'm not sure they would have the breadth of information to really hone in and get that obsessed about it and like feel 20 or 30 years worth of shoes to condense all that information into a single shoe. Like this.
I'm recording that. I'm going to bring that to New Balance. Once I get really old, we're going down to Boston. And look,
Here's my co-signer.
yeah.
Well, on your side of things, you've been in the industry for 19 years.
Thought they were small. I've been skating since I've been 12, so I've been, you know, man, yeah, was that 27 years, 26 years of skating?
Designing that.
Not at a pro level, but, you know, like within a...
No, at pro level.
Everything I've ever heard, I'm like, do you know Jeff Micah? And they're like, yeah, he skates so good. That's the first thing out of their mouths.
Wow. You're very humble.
He's better than most pro skaters. No joke. I'm not even joking. Like a lot. All the amateurs do better than it, but a lot of pros.
Thank you for that. Well, and then to your credit too, Jeff, like you came with a lot of ideas. You came with a bag of cut in half shoes, and it was Jeff's job to be like, okay, how do I take this idea and condense it into reality? Which I'm sure was a rodeo, but I'm sure it was fun.
It was super fun. I feel like we like locked arms and like we, you know, there's some pushing and pulling to make it happen, but I don't know. There was moments where I think that the beauty is we had honest conversations. And like, I was kind of mentioning this in the last like set that we did, but it's like, we were not being destructive in our commentary or like ever like, I didn't feel like a negative tension ever. It was always like, all right, if we do this, let's try to keep, it was always pushing towards a final goal as opposed to like harsh pivots, like whack, or like it was, even if something was maybe distasteful or not, we didn't like a pattern, we would try to find the resolution as opposed to just, I don't know, leave with like a sour taste.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, let's change this, and he would do it in a certain way, and easily just be like, you're right, it's better that way, really good. I never would have thought of that. And then, you know, if I'm like this needs to curve a little bit more here, so it kind of like creates this thing. He's like, and he would do the same. I didn't see that. Okay, cool. So it was like a real collaboration.
It really was. Yeah. I'm not sure that this shoe would ever come to fruition if it wasn't for the specific two of you making the shoe. Just from talking to you guys, like, because if it wasn't you being able to help condense all that information, if you didn't have the experience, I don't think the shoe would ever come about if it wasn't specifically designed by you two.
Now, you know what I hear in the industry? Sometimes this happens in our industry. There will be a shoe designer who has a really strong vision about what they want to do, the shoe designer. And they'll say, this is gonna be so-and-so's new shoe. I've heard many times the skater is like, I don't really love that shoe, but they kind of get stuck with the shoe that they don't necessarily really wouldn't probably skate in and don't really even like.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, what's the point in that?
Right.
That's whack. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah, I mean, especially when he like, that's his name, right? Like this is his legacy. It has nothing to do with me. I just
yeah, it does.
But I'm happy to like no, my contribution I'm very happy on what I get to do. But from an outward perspective, it's like this is your name, your product. That is like, yeah, that's kind of the pinnacle of everything that you've done for skateboarding.
That's a shoe, guys. I appreciate you guys letting us talk to you about it. You go through all the details. Thank you guys for coming. I got coaches like 3 times talking to you guys. It was like, this is the kind of stuff I love. Like we talk about design all day. We love design, and it's rare to find people as passionate and like so. It's like you can just feel that this works. You can, through talking to you guys, through looking at it, through the methodology of how it all came to fruition. It's like that is a shoe. So good work, guys.
Hey, appreciate that. It's high praise.
We'll see if we get it coming off. Oh, that was so fun. Anytime you guys want to talk shoes and talk design, I'm so down. It's Sam's fault if we get in trouble. For sure.